Hello and welcome to section 12.3, which is on inscribed angles. So first of all, an inscribed angle is an angle whose vertex is on the circle and whose sides are chords of the circle. An intercepted arc is an arc with endpoints on the sides of an inscribed angle and its other points in the interior of the angle. And then we have to go with that theorem 12.11, the inscribed angle theorem. That states that the measure of an inscribed angle is half the measure of its intercepted arc. And for my example here, I have what is the measure of angle A. So I have an inscribed angle here because the vertex is on the circle and the two chords, the sides are the chords. That's what this says right here. Intercepted arc, an arc with endpoints on the sides of an inscribed angle. So right here is the intercepted arc of this example. So if I use this theorem to figure this out here, and I'm trying to figure out angle A here, and so I've drawn you can hardly see this chord here, but it is there from here to here. And so I'm going to use this inscribed angle, and it is an inscribed angle because there's a chord and there's a chord. And so the intercepted arc of this one would actually be this whole side over here. So it's 180. And so the rule says that this angle right here will be half of this arc. So it's going to be 90 then. So that is a 90-degree angle for A. Half of its intercepted arc. And because this is a semicircle, that's 180 degrees, and half of that is 90. So then we have three corollaries to go with this. Corollaries to this theorem 12.11, the inscribed angle theorem. So corollary 1 says that two inscribed angles that intercept the same arc are congruent. Okay. You can see here I have two inscribed triangles. And if you look at angles A and B, they are intercepting the arc, this same arc right here. And because they do that, they have to be congruent. Corollary 2 says an angle inscribed in a semicircle is a right angle. So angle C right here, you can see that it is inscribed in a semicircle. Half of the circle, right? It's only using half of it. And therefore, if you go back to the rule up here, this angle has to be half of its intercepted arc. So it's got to be 90. Corollary 3 says the opposite angles of a quadrilateral inscribed in a circle are supplementary. And that just goes along with the rules of quadrilaterals. It's like that for any quadrilateral. So it doesn't matter if it's inscribed or not. That is the rule. What is the measure of each numbered angle? So here I have angles 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I'm showing you that here this intercepted arc is 60 and this one is 80. And so if I work my way through this problem, because this is cutting it halfway across, I just showed this green line to show that that's where it goes through the center. So from here over to here is 180, and then here to here is 180. Okay, because angle 3 right here is inscribed in a semicircle, you know that angle 3 then has to be 90 degrees. So angle 3 equals 90 degrees. Angle 1 over there is also inscribed in a semicircle, and therefore angle 1 also has to be 90 degrees. Angle 4 would probably be the next easiest one to do, because I know that from here to here is 140, and that's what is intercepting this. And so half of 140 is 70 for angle 4. And then angle 2 is the one that I have left. And so from here all the way around, if I've already used up 140, And I know that the whole circle has to have 360. That leaves me with 220. So if I divide that by 2 using the rule, angle 2 has to be 110 degrees. Then one more theorem to go along with this, theorem 12.12. The measure of an angle that is formed by a tangent and a chord is half the measure of the intercepted arc. And here I have an example drawn to kind of point this out here. So what is the measure of each variable? So I need to find x and I need to find y. If I go here and I use this theorem, the measure of an angle formed by a tangent, which is this line, and a chord, right? It forms right where that line touches, half the measure of the intercepted arc. So this 230 over here is showing that from here all the way around is 230. So that leaves me with okay, so if I know that this whole thing around here is 230, that leaves me with 130 for the rest of it. Okay, so y has to be then 130. So that was a pretty easy one to find, 130 degrees. And then this rule right here says this angle x right here is going to be half of the intercepted arc. So half of 130 for x is going to be 65 degrees. So bring this knowledge of intercepted arcs and inscribed angles with you, and we'll talk about it more the next time I see you. Have a good night.